Welcome to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower, brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/your20-minute podcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, here's your host, David Brower.
Thanks, Alan. This is David Brower, and our special guest today is Patty Clark, author of Damsel in Dismess, because I want to say damsel in distress. Hi, Patty. How are you?
Good, thanks. And a lot of people do get that wrong.
Well, it's a catchy title to say the least. Damsel in Dismess, Girl, Antics and Other Shenanigans by Patty Clark. She's a success story, having struggled for so many years and came out of it alive and laughing all the way. Patty's mission is to send smiles across America, and her witty confessional offers an uplifting approach to life's challenges that most everyone can relate to. Man, we all have challenges in life in some way, shape, or form, don't we?
We sure do.
And your laughter is like frickin' contagious. Oh, my God. I love it.
Well, people have said to me, why aren't you on stage? Why aren't you a comedian? I'm not really a comedian. I mean, an author can sit and edit stories over and over to make it humorous, which I've done.
Right.
So I'm not really a spontaneous comedian by any means.
But you do have a infectious laughter, and that's got to be a huge part of, I'm sure, what comes across in your book is your personality, the way you feel about life now, and the things that you've gone through, right?
Well, my journey has really led me through a lot of struggles in life, and it was either put a gun to my head or be constructive and find a way through each of them.
Nice.
So I started writing thoughts down on paper as a means of therapy, and those thoughts turned into fun-filled, self-deprecating stories, and that's how I wrote my book. They were tough stories in real life, but I just turned them around to make them a little humorous, and my stories are ones that so many people can relate to, and that's what I've been told, that they can relate to my stories. So, well,
that's a gift right there. And so much of us, or so many of us, I think, sometimes when we're going through different life struggles or drama or distress or depression or whatever it is, there's often times where we just feel alone, like nobody else is going through this except me. And for you to be able to constructively laugh your way out of those things, and I'm sure I'm exaggerating a bit, but to your readers, it helps them not feel alone, I would assume.
Well, and I have to tell you a little story. Back last summer, I did a radio show in Orange County with a guy that has millions of viewers. And I was real intimidated going there because I'm not one to be in front of the camera or do that kind of stuff. And he kind of caught me off guard, asking me questions and things. And again, it was just real intimidating. So I came home, and I had another gal out of Florida call me to do her radio show, and we were just discussing it. And in the process of discussing it, she said, I get several emails a day from women who have unsuccessfully committed suicide.
Oh, my gosh.
And my heart went to my throat, and the light bulb went off in my head, and I realized then and there that it was my mission to really reach out to those women who are feeling like that, because, I've been through real tough times myself. I, haven't tried to commit suicide, but we all have our low points in life, and it's how you deal with it and get through it. And the way I did was obviously I can remember being so frustrated and just jotting down thoughts on paper. It's like keeping a diary. You write this stuff down and you don't really do anything with it. But, I ended up turning it into a book, but turning it into something that people wanted to read with a little more humor in it.
Yeah.
And but now that's my feeling is, not even try to be funny anymore. If I can share my stories and help people through their troubles, then that means more to me than anything.
No question about it. To be able to pay it forward in any way, shape, or form, and maybe save a life along the way, I just got goosebumps saying that. There's just nothing like that.
Exactly.
So tell us a story that people can relate to, and maybe one that kicked off your book, or one of your favorite stories in your book that you'd like to share with people.
Well, I'm originally from Michigan. My dad was going to be a Catholic priest until he met my mom. And we had 10 kids in our family, so much of my childhood was chaotic.
Yeah.
And I moved to California 15 years ago because I always wanted to be a California girl. I had gone through a divorce and raised daughters as a single mother, and that was pretty stressful.
Yep.
And then I made this decision to start my life all over again on the West Coast and went through a series of struggles all over again. I felt my life was sort of like the Wizard of Oz, since I raised little munchkins on my own, you know?
Yeah.
I was a very scared Dorothy walking a spooky road without knowing what was ahead. But I remember looking up to...
That explains the red shoes on the cover of your book.
But I looked up to the sky, I clicked my heels 3 times and prayed to the mighty Professor Marvel I call God, and powered through every twister that awaited me. Wow. Pretty much.
I love the cover of your book, seriously. Once you said Dorothy, and I'm going, oh, she's got her red heels on. She's clicking them. That's awesome.
Thank you. I've had a lot of good reaction to that cover.
I bet you did. So
I'm thinking of doing a second book, and I don't think I can beat this cover though.
It's pretty impressive, I got to tell you. Absolutely. Unless you put Toto on the cover, I don't know what you're going to do with it, you know. So when people read your book, I assume that they reach out to you. Maybe try to share their stories with you. How does the piece of you communicating with your readers happen?
I think I love it the most when people tell me what their favorite story was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, whether they can relate to that one in particular or not. I do love hearing the feedback.
When you so do you go out and do any public speaking to women's groups and those kinds of things about your book and about what you've been through?
You know, I've done a few, but it's just really not what I want to do. I've done a lot of radio shows. I think I prefer doing the radio shows.
Yeah.
I have thought about going out and doing the speaking, but I've got other things I'm trying to do, and it's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard. There aren't enough hours in the day to do everything.
Well, that's right. I mean, we have to focus on the 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 things that we're really passionate about on any given day, and give those things our attention until they either come to fruition or we just kick them to the curb and go somewhere else. So getting involved in a ton of things is really hard. And when you're I'm going to guess you're an introvert, and that makes it even more difficult to go out and speak in front of groups.
It is. And like I said, it's easy to sit here and write and then take a day or a week to edit something.
Right.
It's a lot harder to get out there and just speak like you're a natural speaker. I'm just not a natural speaker.
But you interview well, so that's a big deal, and you have a contagious laugh, which is also a big deal. So when you, what does your family think about your writing? You got a family with 9 siblings, and what kind of feedback have they given you?
Well, I think my kids were ready to put me in an asylum when they read stuff about them, but my dad is still alive. He lives in Florida. He's 94 years old.
Wow.
Still has more of a social life than I do. He's amazing. He wrote a Christmas letter, which he does every year, and he just bragged about my book, telling everybody they had to get it and read it. So there's that answer. At least my dad loves me. My kids, maybe not so much. But
well, anytime, I want to be your dad when I grow up. My gosh, 94 years old, living in Florida, having a social life, bragging on his daughter. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, you know?
And I owe any sense of humor I have to him, because he has always been a man that loves jokes and smiles all the time. And he was in an optimist club when he was younger, and that says it all.
It sure does.
He's a true optimist.
Yep, it sure does. So how long did it take you to write the book?
The stories evolved. I'll have to tell you, my dream was to do a blog. So about 6 years ago, I think it's been, a friend helped me start the blog, and within 4 posts, I was picked up by a Kansas newspaper, the Parsons Sun.
Wow.
And I wrote for them for 2 years. So that was the kickstart of my writing career. And as I look back now, I think, boy, my writing wasn't even that great. But it was a fun run. I wrote for them, and then things progressed, and I ended up writing the book.
And to be picked up that quick has got to boost your esteem and your confidence that you're headed in the right direction, right?
Well, that was it. And anybody who attempts to be an author, you've got to know the trials and tribulations that come with that.
Yeah.
You know, you send query letters out till you're blue in the face, and I sent them out for the first year, and I did get a couple responses, handwritten notes from publication companies that said, we aren't the publication for you, but keep writing because we enjoyed your stories. So that's really kept me going.
Wow, that's super encouraging. And then, of course, you know, you had a bunch of knots on your head from banging your head against the wall, and you can only drink so many bottles of wine. So I'm sure that was all.
Exactly.
Tell me about you were a 6-time contest winner in the humorpress.com. Tell me about that.
Oh, that's right. That too. I forgot about that. That was before I got picked up by the newspaper.
Okay.
I just happened to find them online one time, and I started submitting stories and ended up winning 6 of them. And
wow. Was each one a trip to the Bahamas, or what'd you get?
No, I didn't get paid for those. That was just...
Did you at least get a trophy or a plaque? Something.
No, I just got my name written online.
That's good. Bragging rights is always good. I mean, anytime you can put yourself down as a 6-time contest winner regarding humor, which is what you're about, I mean, that speaks... that no matter whether anybody knows anything about you or not, that gives you some instant credibility. That's pretty significant, you know?
But I do want to say that anybody that has the passion of writing like I do, because it truly is probably the most fun thing I've ever done in my life. And I still, to this day, I want to sit at my computer all day long and write, which I know I can't do. It's not good for my body. But to never give up their passion, because you just keep plugging away. And I even have to say, to this day, I'm a much better writer now than I was when I first started.
Sure.
Because you do it long enough, and you learn so much. Yeah,
you learn your craft, you get feedback, you build confidence. And I think something else, too, the way you started out, I think a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say a lot of people, I think some people, they do diaries, they do journals, or they're thinking about doing a diary, they're thinking about doing a journal of some sort, maybe they're thinking about doing a blog. And I think the reality is once you start, I mean, the hardest part in life is just to show up. So once you start, you might find a gift in there that you didn't even know you had, you know?
I know. It's so true. I think the biggest compliment I've ever gotten, and this has been said by a few people, is that I'm the modern day version of Irma Bombeck, which you can't get any.
Oh my God, that's
any better compliments than that.
No, that is beyond high praise. So that's and maybe that's the name of your next book. You know, I love Irma Bombeck with a picture of Toto on the cover.
Did you ever read her?
I did. I read her column all the time, and my mom was an avid Irma Bombeck. My mom was one of the funniest women I've ever known, and to see her read that and just laugh until she almost wet her pants was worth the price of admission. You know, she was a big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan. Is she? I mean, she's still syndicated, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. So what's your?
It must have been fun living in your house.
Oh
if
my
your
God.
Mother was a. Yeah.
She was such a kick in the pants. I got to tell you, She made my day. I was an only child, and my dad was on the road a lot, and so to be able to hang out with my mom and embrace some of her humor like you did with your dad, that's a gift that you're just eternally grateful for. And I think about that every day. It's pretty cool.
Neat.
So what's your next book?
Well, it'll be another compilation of stories. I just don't know what the title is going to be or the picture will be.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Are you getting close on finishing it, or where are you in the process?
Yeah, I'm getting close. I'm also thinking about writing a book about my boyfriend and I live together, and he is, you talk about comedians. This guy has more stories and I've heard them over and over and over till I'm blue in the face, but they can't go unrecognized.
Right.
I mean, these stories are, and so I'm thinking of doing a little twist and using my humor and writing these stories all about him. So,
you should do that. Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Yeah, I've already been dabbling in it a little bit, and I don't know, I might be sequestered to the house for the next year doing this.
That'd be okay.
Life,
I interviewed a young lady, maybe 6-7 months ago, and I hope I get the name of the book right. It was Men Are Like Shoes. And so she had, of course, shoes on the cover of her book, and she would go out, treat herself to dinner, take her laptop with her, and just watch different men, different relationships, and then compare them with the 20 or 30 pairs of shoes that she had in her closet, so, oh my God, frickin' hysterical. And so what made me think of that is when you're talking about your boyfriend and his insatiable sense of humor and stories, to be able to do that twist and bring that part out, I think would be great fun.
Well, I tell you what, it would be a great TV series or movie, I can tell you.
Well, there you go.
There isn't anybody that listens to his story that doesn't end up cracking up.
Well, maybe he should do a podcast, and you can be his agent.
No, well, he doesn't want to do anything like that. In fact, he's a little bit worried about me writing this book. But I think in the long run, once it's done, and I mean, he's always been very supportive of me and what the stories I've done, and so many of the stories in this book, include him.
Sure.
And he's been the first person to say, I don't care if she writes that, but just so you know, I really don't walk around the house nude, because I wrote something like that.
Well, yeah, truth has to come with a little exaggeration just to increase the humor level,
That's the best part about being creative, a creative author, and we talk about that all the time. I go to a writer's group. I've been there for years, and we just happen to like each other.
Nice.
That's why I'm still there.
Nice.
But we say that, too. Like, that's the best part, is you can just take off a little bit, and then as long as you reel yourself back in, you're doing good.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could be self-deprecating about yourself, but you can just laugh your head off about your boyfriend,
You're right.
Hey, congratulations on the book. We've been talking with Patty Clark, author of Damsel in Dismess, Girls, Antics and Other Shenanigans. Her blog is damselindismess.com, and you can catch her on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the usual places. Where can folks buy your book or find your book, Patty?
Amazon, Goodreads.
Nice. Are you going to turn that into an audiobook by chance?
I started to. It's difficult. My voice gets really, that frog is in there all the time, and then I have to stop and keep going at it. I attempted to do it, so I don't know if I'll finish or not.
Yeah.
But I know I should be, and people have also told me I should be doing a podcast, so I'm thinking about doing that too.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, keep more challenges, keep more laughter, and keep touching people all along the way. And that's you got some special gifts going on, my friend. It's been a real treat, real pleasure to talk with you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks so much for having me.
You bet. Again, Patty Clark, Damsel in Dismess, Girls, Antics and Other Shenanigans. And check out her blog at damselindismess.com.
Your 20-minute podcast with David Brower has been brought to you by Audible. You can listen to any of David's podcasts anywhere podcasts can be found, including iHeartRadio, the Spotify mobile app, and at davidbrowervo.com/your20-minute podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening.